Hello, everyone. Sorry for the delay, slightly technical issue here. This series is a bit different from what you might have seen me done on Allegory Capital, which is the other company we are running with my team. So we have this company called Kainjoo. Let me first come back on this because this is something that is very dear to my heart. I created this company with all the might and knowledge I had 10 years ago now. So it's getting a little bit, getting older on this one. So let me just introduce uh, who is Kenju, why do we exist, and introducing the topic of today, which has been demanded by a lot of execs we work with in regulated industries, especially in the pharmaceutical industry. That is going to be somehow a way for me to close the AI fever in a way, because I'm a bit tired, to be honest with you, to hear about the AI fever all the time. So there is a lot of BS running, and I'm a bit tired to just have endless conversations on this without concrete steps that moves us forward as an industry. So let's first introduce this series. So my name is Haider. I've been what you can call a disruptor in regulated industry, worked in with many pharma companies in my life, from commercial operations to tech ops to with R&D teams, different sizes as well. I have good memories working with tiny biotech that exploded, like Preglem in Geneva back in the days. Met wonderful colleagues at Gedeon Richter, where we had a blast transforming, commercial ops. And Janos, if you see this, I have a really good memory working with you all those years. And also, maybe you heard me speak or you saw me speak with an incredible experience that I got with Ferring Pharmaceutical for almost 5 years, where I had the chance to, express this toolbox for transforming commercial operation at a size that enabled me to do it. So this is me, right? So I've been navigating the hot waters of regulated industries using tech, marketing, and creative thinking to disrupt this. And Kinju is kind of the extension of that, let's say, need in the market. We felt that a lot of things were stuck in slides, if that makes sense for a lot of you. So you have good people thinking and putting the nice workshops and dressing nice strategies that never got tested. And I am an engineer by background, so I wanted to build solutions. I wanted to make sure those solutions are business proofed. And in a way, this is how, talking from the bottom of my heart, right? I am very much interested, right, to have a bit of a reality check, grounded from the reality of what technology can bring, what marketing models can bring, and what branding, design thinking can bring to the table. So that's why I wanted to have this operational loop back, this feedback loop coming from the terrain to feed my strategies. It is hard. Everyone called me crazy when I said, no, we need to do it. We need to get our hands dirty to do the right strategy for the brands. And yes, it's not sexy. If you are looking to get nice titles in the industry, definitely don't try to do what I did, because it's the dirty work. But some people like me basically proved some of your strategic thinking like this for good reason, to actually discover what works and what is not. So that's long story short. Is Kenju. We are globally operated. We have teams in India, we have teams in Ukraine, we have teams in Europe. We have nice partnerships as well. We partner with nice folks like companies like Webel, Penetino in Paris, and we extend our footprint thanks to them to global settings where we can recruit people in many sides of the world. So yeah, so if you are interested, basically also on joining a fast growing teams, we are opening roles what we call brand tech specialist role. And there is, I think, a video on YouTube or live I did with our first brand tech specialist that you can check this video. We can put the link down below if this is relevant for some of you. And yeah, so the reason we wanted to have that conversation with you today is regarding a topic that is, artificial intelligence. Are we going to use this for disruption? Is this going to be a channel for disruption, or are we going to be disrupted by it? And this is a lot the conversation that comes on my WhatsApp feed and in the background. There, people are telling me, "Hey, Haider, we want to do an expedition. We want to learn. We want to do." So definitely, there is work for people looking for question answered. Definitely, but the problem is we don't even know why do we ask those questions. So sometimes it's just like a parade where we see something cool coming, and I'm like, hold on a second, why are we talking about this, right? So I wanted to take you on a step back, understanding the reality, the threats and opportunities of the pharmaceutical industry today, specifically this one, because I'm going to speak about this quite deeply. So look at this like a warm-up to the agenda of Reuters Pharma next week. I'm going to chair the digital health track on Tuesday next week in Barcelona. So look at this like I would say, a little warm up to some of the conversation we are going to have with, the industry, I would say, and some startup and some potential VCs coming and joining us there. So let me take some of my notes so that we can have that conversation up and running. If you look at right now, the threat or opportunities brought by AI, and I'm going to frame the conversation for commercial ops more specifically. I'm going to understand where those large language models should be talked about, where we design them as an opportunity. And if you have questions, by the way, just feel free to put it in the comments. I can see on the chat, and there is a colleague of mine that is monitoring the chat box, so she can speak to me if there is some question. So let me just explain. Commercial ops are a fast-moving department. So if you compare it to R&D settings, R&D you have 3-5 year span, where you can design project pretty long. The stress is different. If you start any project that has heavy capex in commercial ops on your own without IT behind, and absorbing those risks, definitely you have at best 18 months to showcase any value on a project portfolio, right? That in that case, there is not so much objective a commercial operation executive can put to validate your project, if this is an AI-based project, LLM-based project, whatever you call it. So if you think as opportunities, and I'm not talking about innovation labs and that kind of thing. I'm speaking, you are working in a commercial operation setting and you want to test drive things. The reality is in 18 months, either you capture new pool of value, market share, better quality calls, better brand messages, understanding, that kind of thing. So you add more quality in the outreach, I would say, the penetration of your brand messages in the market, or you are going to have a cost-killing activity, meaning you're going to optimize what you guys do already internally. The opportunity discovery, like are you going to use data to discover where to play, where to win, the strategic thinking, I will park it for the end, right? This is more like a specific launch sequence moment where people are going to do brand planning and so on. I'm going to come back to this. There are some opportunities there. And I'm going to illustrate that with some of the startups I have met that could be relevant for that type of work. So let's focus in those two boxes. Are you going to cost kill activities using those tools, meaning going down 3-fold, 4-fold, 6-fold the cost of operations? Or are we going to use those tools and potential emerging technologies and channels to do more quality, to do better, right? So I'm already setting the scene in a very political way for a good reason, because some of those conversations are political internally within pharma companies. So if you focus now the conversation on cost-killing activities, it means that if you are the head of department, you have no interest reducing your budget if you think of it. I'm just saying, right? If you are looking to optimize your budget, this idea of doing more with less, it's going to put your department at risk of shrinking in a way, right? So the human nature of a department is going to say, I'm not going to touch my budget because I'm not guaranteed to have it next year. And in that case, if you know that you have to do the same amount of job and you know for good reason you're going to be stressed to deliver, then those tools are not, let's put it that way, they are basically going to be designed for saving the day in a way, right? It's kind of a safety net, so saying, yeah, we can easily copy paste and translate. It's like DeepL. Everyone is understanding what I'm trying to say is that instead of using a translation agency, we are going to use an API and basically translate a website in 20 language, and we are going to reduce the cost just to do the proofreading. So in a way, this is not very innovative, right? It's kind of, yeah, it's the mystery box somehow will deliver the same average quality results, but we are going to reduce the budget. So for mature portfolio, when you want to reduce the activity, that might be tempted, you might be tempted to do this. So now let's switch to and you see, so it's not a very sexy business case, right? If I present things like this, which is usually where those business cases are going to be discussed, from a chief executive officer or chief commercial officer, it's not going to be the sexy discussion, especially now. If you now start to think, okay, now I'm going to do more outreach. I'm going to know where to place my ads. I'm going to know which doctor to visit. I'm going to know which content or slides to create. This is where you see now the conversation going, because this is seen as more qualitative. And if you deep dive into that aspect of the commercial operation, there is a problem, fundamental problem, is that you don't have good data from a commercial perspective to run an LLM to it. So this is where, I'll give an example. If you say, okay, I want to auto tag my CRM data, my calls with this tag and this tag and this tag and this tag, and you want to educate an AI to do it, you will have to hire a ton of people to do the data annotation and to build, I don't know, maybe 20,000 data points so that your large language model will be able to run. And I'm not saying this as an expert, right? I'm just saying that 20,000 data points feel to me like a solid baseline to start having some quality work. So it's going to be a very hard task to pitch from a commercial operation settings. You can pitch the need, like you can say, it cost me X amount of hours to do, but no one really monitored that time. And that is where I think the CRM data, when I say the metadata around CRM, is not qualitative and it's not eligible to run intelligence on it, right? So this is an example. Second, you will have a difficulty from a change management to ask sales rep who are already doing a lot more since COVID to do this, to basically automate things that they will perceive might replace their job, which is not true, right? I'm not saying that this is going to be true. I think automation will help focus on the right thing, but it could be perceived as a change resistance. And therefore, you don't have neither the voluntary people to do it that knows the platform. So you will need to hire extra people that might not know the reality of the terrain. and you will lose a lot of time to do that data annotation. So that is where I see the hype on trying to do this private LLM and those nice projects that are from compliance saying, yeah, we should not work with partner, we should do it on our own, and we should have a safeguarding of data. All of this is relevant, but the reality is that I think we are like hugely naive in terms of how the reality of implementing this works. If I switch now to the big boys, right, the tech player, who are going to come and say, we have like, I don't know, I'm just going to name drop Cegedim and IQVA and Viva and those guys. If you come and you say, yeah, guys, now we have validated data points. We know on top of all our customers what they want to see, what they don't want to see, and assuming data privacy was checked, right? That information is going to cost a lot more than what it is costing already. And in a world where primary data is going to be important, I'm just saying, if you have not switched on the fact that you need your own primary data instead of renting it every year, it's not going to be cheaper year to year. It's going to be more expensive to run. So your cost of operation per sales rep, per touch point is going to increase. And it's not going to increase just by one, like 1%, 2%. It's going to be 10 to 20% increase because of the requirements of data that you have year to year, right? So, sorry. All in all, what I'm trying to express is not a negative painting. I'm just trying to explain you need to understand the reality of what good looks like when it comes to those gains. And I think I'm trying to fight against the hype of a promised land that is very much gimmicky right now, not super precise. It looks cool, it looks fun, we can play it. But when you go back to reality, it falls down pretty quickly. So that is because we are now. Now, if you ask the question, what is in the pipeline for the next few years, what we can expect coming in the next year, 2 years, how fast it can go, who knows. So this is more promising, right? So I will say that, and I'm a big fan of what, if you heard me speak in the past, I'm a big fan of digital twins, right? So I would say two trends I'm expecting to come is that more people are going to invest in digitalizing therapeutic area patterns or behaviors, which means we will have companies that will build data stores on the various aspects of, for example, diabetes, cardiovascular, fertility, you name it. So you're going to see a new kind of leadership coming up, data leaders, and those data stores are going to help get access to new type of metadata, which could be used to build new type of algorithm, and there will be a new market around that data. Obviously, you cannot have the name and first name, and anonymization of data will be a thing. But I'm just going to say that imagine in a few months from now or years from now, you could have observatories or data stores around a population of patients. That data store could be maintained by government. It could be like the Swiss government maintaining a data stores around transplantation or whatever is the topic, or COVID or whatever is the topic. And you as a pharma company, you can tap into that database in real time. You can have different type of quality of data. Maybe it might cost you to get access to fresh live data because you need to pay for this API. But I see the world going through that lens. So more people going to create value on top of what could be unleashed by pure player. And those pure players might be tech companies, might be startups, might be pharma companies, and might be governments themselves, right? So I see the world more in a direction where you would have an economy of digital health data. That's why you hear a lot about digital health space, right? In the coming years, you will see more and more bills and more programs from governments to regulate digital health space. We used to say 1/3 of the data is going to be healthcare data. And then commercial operation might be then tempted, if there is an opportunity to tap into metadata like that from data stores, then you can ask yourself the question, if I'm in the business of changing behavior, right? If I'm in the business of truly running scientific campaigns, and I can understand that that typology of doctors is behaving like this when they receive sales rep visits, then you can really much tap into this live, prepare your own data or algorithm to be personalizing the messages. And you see, so the intelligence can start coming because you have the data, the good quality data in front of you, and you have supermarket of data. That's what I'm trying to say. So instead of trying to do it organically from your own, which is what most companies are trying to do, and realizing that they have either crap data, let's be honest, or no data, or data that is like solid, not liquid, like not a flux view of the data, then in few years you will be able to tap into those databases, and potentially, because you will have too much data to handle, you're going to think of bringing intelligence to the party to solve your problem of finding answers, hypotheses, like give me the right message that is going to change the behavior of that doctor in a couple of touch points. And that intelligence based on those data points might be working well. So that is one view, right? I think that is an external to internal view that I wanted to talk about. And I think it's important to keep in mind those views. And this is where, because you have data and you might have your own data, then you have those large language models that can be proprietary, or you can use one to be built on your own data set. And I think the relevance comes here, right? If you are now, for example, in the consumer space, that also becomes interesting, right? This B2B2C approach, right? The direct to consumer. You will have much more capacity to get data from social listening in a much more structured way. Those social signals around symptoms, conversation, and so on are going to be turned into pattern or unmet need or real usage data, real world data around your product or your treatment or your competition. And I think it's also from a planning perspective, having a huge amount of observatories and data sets, intelligence is going to bring you clarity on your decision making. So I'm not saying what I call intelligent platforms or algorithms that are going to chew up the level of data precision you need are going to be putting you in a much faster pace to say, oh, this is the right message, this is the right channel, this is the right experience I need to create for that patient subset. So yeah, all in all, what I'm trying to say is the future is bright if we start asking the right question about how to handle large volume of data, and large volume of data will need to be turned in fewer insights, right? So like clear insights. This handshake between large volume of data and clear insights. This is where you can say, can you help me, AI, to do something? Can LLMs can transform large volume of data into clear insights according to your business imperatives? That I think, yes. And then when you come from large volume of data to clear insights, can I take different scenarios to take better decisions? And that scenario modeling, this is also, I believe, where AI and large language model can compare at scale very fastly different models based on retrospective data that you already have or prospective data that you started to chew up from your new data sets. So that's the way I see the world, right? It's going to be an interesting transition for the companies who understand that. I'm not sure everyone is honestly mature enough to jump on this. So there is an opportunity for a lot of players to educate the market on that, for sure. At least we do, right? I hope my peers are doing that also on their corner in the different side of the world, right? But if you think of the opportunities from a strategic planning, decision-making perspective, yes, definitely that is going to be one direction. Now, just looking at different moments, right? So usually we have mature portfolio, innovative product that are coming up, 4 years down the line, and you have like the launch excellence sequence. And as I said, it's very clear to use those tools to optimize the past. I like to use my 3-box solution. If you heard me speak in the past, there is always this 3-box solution in my head. My first box is optimize the past, do more with less. Can AI and large language model can help? Yes, I'll give you an example. If tomorrow you have not a search engine, but an answer engine in your intranet, OneDrive, whatever you name it, if you can ask a chatbot or something saying, give me the best performing ads for that particular type of doctors or e-detailers structure, whatever is your forte on this. Yes, I think if this is well structured, well tagged, well done, then you're going to win a lot of time to not reinvent the wheel. And whenever you're going to input, in your builder data, if you have a tool that is going to say, hey, you know what, if you add this keyword in the title, your chance to have an email opened, a sponsor rep email open, is going to be doubled. I think this is where we have value. So again, different settings. That requires a lot of data, requires a lot of structured data from the past. And that type of example, definitely I will calculate. At least we know from our test, you have a 6 multiplier in terms of optimization. So you can look at it at doing 6 times more things in your content factory, or reducing the cost by 6 if you do this well. And I can give you references if you're interested in my models for calculating this. We've done it for a couple of customers in the last few months. Second, if you are looking at the launch sequence, here, this is again the strategic planning, more decision-making, deviation, deviation points, calculating the risk and that kind of thing, defining a sequence, defining a code of conduct, matching. That I will say this is where a lot of that planning, which is usually requires 9-12 months, could be reduced because you have a faster decision-making process. And you could also reduce the creative process by doing, faster iteration, going live faster, testing, getting the data, building a lot of data, and then tweaking the message. Let me give you an example. If you before you were doing an e-detailer with all the slides in it, like 50 slides, which is a lot, right? But with the different routes and the different deviation and the different references and that kind of things, the objection slide and supporting slide and so on. Imagine that now you might be going out with 20 slides, and every 2 weeks you have a roadmap to tweak, change, add slides according to the reality of the terrain. In 3 months, you might get so much data on who has consumed what, where it works, that you have maybe a collection, a library of 200 slides that have been created as a constellation of opportunities, and you can create those sequences. And this is not new, huh? So if people hear me from other industry, you might say, yeah, this guy is like just throwing marketing sequences, classical automation. But in pharma, honestly, I have not seen so much of automation going on. It's a little bit mono-channel. And that is where I think it's going to be interesting to see those tools educating the way of building those marketing sequences. This is where I see not so much efforts done. And it's also the fault of some vendors and agency where we just don't want to do the job that is like the complex piece of the job, because it's easier to just do a simple 2-dimensional channel, because everyone see it on a medical legal review, everyone is happy, we stamped it, and that's it. We go to the next product. It's very waterfall or sequential in this way, and it's not this very much ecosystem. So that is something that I know some companies are changing this. I know new people hired for precision medicine, precision marketing teams in OTC teams, for example. That's very interesting to see the move. But a lot of them are still doing mono channels, and it's a bit sad to witness in 2024. But yeah, hopefully this type of tool will help the industry goes to the right way. And last but not the least, I've been vocal a lot to talk about innovation in the context of commercial operation. And can AI or LLMs disrupt positively that sense? So let me rephrase. If you look at innovation through an experience, a customer experience lens, it means that beyond the pill, you're going to bring a service, an information, a community, an algorithm, a medical device app, whatever you name it, right? It brings value beyond, before, on top, whatever you call lately, Basically, if you start bringing a data-driven solution on top of your product, suddenly your product is a combo. It's more than just a drug. It's more than a medical device. It has a real feedback loop coming to it. It creates an amplification box if there is a community to it. And as such, you can start building your own, I will call it, like, to keep it simple, an algorithm. In my work with Faring and this startup, I use this example a lot because it really marked me. When I worked with Woom and those two ladies from that company, and we were discussing that the future of a pharma company was to build an algorithm that will help the science progress, right? So if you imagine that you really connect yourself through a data lake, through an API, to not just one startup, but to 20 startups, to 50 startups, and you distribute your algorithm to them, right? And you bring value. You might say to the startup, hey guys, we developed the best algorithm that can do pre-diagnostic in diabetes. I'm just making that up, right? And it is a medical device. It's already a class 2B. We did the research, we did the studies, and you just have to distribute it. Imagine you're a startup and you want to go fast and you want to create a community of 1, 2 million, 5 million people, and you don't have to bother having a complex medical device to run. As such, it's a perfect storm for those two entities. You, as a pharma company, suddenly you have access to a myriad of patient data that is even not necessary to have. You can't even have them as a direct database. So it's even better from a data privacy perspective, and you can actually understand the reality of their life, with different treatment products and so on. And you can have this observatory or data store that you get access to. And for the startup, is quite incredible to be able to propose extra services that is going to give you an index. In my case, we wanted to have a chance of pregnancy index, right, as an example. And we wanted to distribute to as many startups as possible a fertility index or a chance of pregnancy index. And this is where, for example, and that's we worked on the same idea with many other companies. It could be, in the multiple sclerosis, in the skin diseases. So it's almost the same idea that we push. It's that the industry should have a leadership on the data side by being the closest partner to create scientific evidence. And if you have that distributable algorithm, the good news is you can do retrospective studies, prospective studies, you can build data, you can do joint publication with a startup, you can do many things. And where AI and LLMs can actually help is if you start to have one startup in your portfolio, great, okay. And you have one startup with 2 million people. Now you have a portfolio of 50 million startup, and then your medical affairs team is going to say there is too many samples to do, too many design studies to do. There is we can't chew all of that. We don't see the opportunities anymore, And because of the size of the data sets and the opportunities, having a smart tool that knows what to search for and why they need to search for can bring you hypotheses. And that is basically where you can um, enjoy being really in a strategic leadership position and using AI and LLMs to map out or explore or dive in that data world. So I hope I make myself clear. It's a long conversation, but I just wanted to give an extract of some of the conversation I'm having with some leaders, around us, in my company. And I have those conversations, interestingly, with data companies who are very much interested to, yeah, to change, especially that last part, right, with the innovation piece. They feel really compelled to create a highway of data, connecting. At least this is the vision I'm having. I'm seeing the world now with highways, therapeutic highways. And some people are basically driving on the highway. Some people are building the highways. Some people having like scientific toll passage where you can basically pay more if you want to have scientific data validated. Some people are regulating those highways, patrolling, make sure that things are done in the right way. And some people are parking data, right, to make sure we have like solid databases we can come back to do archive digging and that kind of thing. So I see the world really much like in interconnection. I don't see the world of siloed data, everyone looking at their own thing and protecting data like if this is a fortress, because the reality is this data is not even good quality, while you have this highway view. It's a flux view, it's not a stock view of data, which means that you are obliged to make that data circulate like a currency. And if you think of this like a currency, then you want to make it circulate to have as much yield as possible, because the much it circulates, the much touch point it has, the better quality you can get, and you have more metadata. All right, so I'm just looking at the time here. We arrive at the end of that session. What I'm promising you, just to close this, what you heard right now is a bit of I would say, an intro to what I'm going to bring as topics, or challenge topics next week in Barcelona. Um, some of this might be, even too advanced. When I talk about digital twins, people are telling me, yeah, it's too soon to talk about that in commercial ops. I don't believe so. I think we are entering a time where we can train people on the digital twin of a perfect doctor, or we can have a digital twin of an employee, right? We start to see companies building this to train people, right, for mental health issue, and like seeing, how our decision as people managers could impact employees, and you have an AI reacting and educating employees. It's like a video game, right? Look at that at an NPC in a MMORPG, and basically you have someone reacting to your action, and you have a feedback loop immediately. So I would say I'd like to keep those conversation open. I'm going to uh, do potentially another one with people joining me. I have a lineup of people who are interested to come on board and talk. They obviously ask me to really unleash the conversation in a different way, not just brainstorming for brainstorming, but giving us keys to take decisions. I think this is what I'm trying to do with you here. I'm trying to share a vision of the world, of how those new emerging technologies and channels can change the game in this industry. And if we do this well, then we might progress all together and learn all together, and basically share value for the benefits of the patient at the end, in this case of this industry. And also the chance, just if I might add, we will bring potentially people from different industries. I think this is also something missing. When I hear pharma talking about themselves, it's basically very much concentrated. And I'd like to break the silo with bringing knowledge from other industry, as we work not only for pharma, we work also with, exclusive brands like in the luxury business, you know, and also banks and that kind of things, which is interesting for us because some of those fast moving brands are already moving fast in some of those topics. So let's just say that we see things that are inspiring and we want to just cross-fertilize that knowledge. So I hope this was useful for you guys. You wanted me to be more vocal. You got it. Now I'm out. So if you want me to answer a question, please put them in the chat, right, in the comments section, and I'll pick up some of you for conversation next time. And see you soon to Barcelona. If the people from the pharma industry hear this, I'm going to be there on stage to pick up your question. I hope you have many. Thank you so much. Take care.